Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you to AKLF for really inviting me to do this session with M K Raina. Um, would like to begin by really recommending that everyone here pick up a copy of this book, which is what we're going to talk about in a moment. Because I think we've all read memoirs and biographies and autobiographies, but this particular one, when I read it, is something really special because it manages to make that leap from being an individual story to a story about a very changing India. It's a detailed reflection on a contemporary history that all of us are part of, whatever age we may be, and all of us are living the fallout of. And I think in that sense, it's an extremely important book for all of us to engage with. Very detailed, very complex, very honest, very personal, and it's a beautiful, beautiful read. So I'd like to start with that. And I would like to start by saying, quoting the first line of your preface, which says, "I call myself the child of India's socialism." And I think the whole book really lays out how there's a changing idea of India from when you were growing up to where we are now, and what are those values that we have lost or gained or changed our relationship with, and the entire book really lays that out. So I just want to start by reading a passage from the chapter called Growing Up. This is the end of the chapter, where he says, I always say that I'm a product of Indian socialism, because had there not been state support for arts institutions in different parts of India that imparted training, it would not have been possible for many young people to pursue their passion for art, painting, sculpture, theatre, dance, and music. They would not have been able to make their place in their respective fields. None of us from the valley had the capacity to support ourselves financially. India was a poor nation, but one heard story after story of young people getting grants or scholarships from their state governments and becoming engineers, doctors, and artists. So I really want to open by asking you to elaborate a little bit on what you mean by being a child of socialism in India.
See, when thank you, Vikram. When 1947 happened and your state was partitioned, my state was partitioned, we had a war in Kashmir, which divided my state into two parts. But still, the government that came that time in, they had a dream, like a manifesto saying, Naya Kashmir. And in that, there were these parameters, and the biggest major parameter, apart from engineers, doctors, and others to support, was this, that arts will be on the front, right? Whether it was writers, whether it was dancers, and in my case, I had no idea what is National School of Drama, to be honest. And I was performing play after play, play after play. Suddenly, the secretary of the academy said, "You are going to National School of Drama." I said, "Where?" It's in Delhi, and you need to go there, and we are giving you the scholarship to go. That was the spirit, and it continued till 60s, and after that suddenly started, now it's not there. But why it was also in, you should understand, Kashmir over centuries has been a place where there was hardly any education. There are even many, many families, first generation, going to school. And it was very important that people go to school. You will not believe, we had hardly to pay any money into going right up to the post-graduation. Hardly any money to pay. It was supported. And because I think that time the leaders who were there, they were thinking that unless until we create this educated class, it's not possible to move forward. And in arts, I remember, it was not that a school is doing a play. There used to be a big Jasne Kashmir where every department had to present cultural shows. Whether it was police, the food department, schools, colleges, a big celebration that will happen in the valley for quite a long period of time. And I think that was, for me, socialism, because none of us, I remember all of us who have come to National School of Drama, gone to Baroda or have gone to Gandharva Mandal and go to various schools of art, or to Shanti Niketan also. They have had a capacity to finance. We had none of us. In fact, I have a friend who is a very successful American doctor now. Recently he came, he said it was not possible for me also. We could never do it. It was not possible. That is socialism for me, where state takes concerns of the poor, downtrodden, who have no capacity but have brains, and to support them. And I think today, state is quietly withdrawn, beautifully withdrawn, and you see a lot of politicians making universities. And the fee is, is phenomenal fees they charge. And I went recently to a university in Punjab. Imagine 19,000 people on the campus, students. It's like a town. And when I looked at the building is beautiful, everything's beautiful, fees is very good, but teachers hire and fire. And so VCs change like musical chairs. So there's not much on the education side. It's more on the capital side, making money. And that was the difference. That's why I think assertion of the states that time, at least my state was that I know about, that we were supported, helped till the end, to see this, that we grow, nurture us. And there were also very beautiful things happening. When I was a kid, front-ranking poets and writers, they thought that we are kids who are doing plays. They formed a little group called Young Writers and Artists Association. So every Saturday we had to go and meet these people, and they will read their poems to us, or they will read their stories to us, and then some of us will attempt to do a story, and they will start telling what is wrong with your story. So there was this good nurturing, it was like, in that sense. I would say that is this, that we are lost now.
Absolutely, and I think when we are in an age when we are constantly being bombarded with the term New India, and now you're saying Naya Kashmir at that point, and how we are looking at New India at this point, and how Naya Kashmir was being conceived at that point. It's a huge difference, very, 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 very different. And also, you mentioned in your book that this thing of being supported, that Kashmir, J&K was one of the first states to actually make education completely free from primary to university level, was it?
Yes, it was hardly any money you had to pay to go to university. And you see, there another thing, they were attempting to do all these things, the vernacular language. But that project failed because the political situation changed completely, and that did not go further.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, speaking of language, there's a portion again in the growing up chapter where you are talking about where you grew up, the mohalla where you grew up, and the temple trust and the land. What I found really interesting there also was that the newspaper, which was a newspaper for and by Kashmiri Pandits, was in Urdu. And you talk a lot in that chapter about a certain kind of community and communal, in the good sense, life when you were growing up in Kashmir. So if you could talk a little bit about the Kashmir that sadly may not be there anymore.
I always say that we don't know each other. Kashmir is not known in Bengal, Bengal is not known, except you come as tourists, and there are some restaurants who make Bengali food for you, the Kashmiri hands. In Kashmir, you see, I call it interdependence. We were dependent on each other. Humane way. For example, there's a proverb which every Kashmiri uses. Well, I'll translate it in Hindi, with not a really good in Hindi. हिंदू और मुसलमान का साथ जन्म से मरने तक है, and it is a fact that you have seen. And at every level we are interacting, at every level we are supporting each other, at every level. Now this whole business of in Hindu, Muslim, it is, it's a new phenomenon. It was not there. Even at the time of, I tell you, in the 90s when it happened, the whole thing erupted. I lost my mother there. She was in a coma in a hospital, and it was run by terrorists. And when she passed away, who will help me in that shoot-at site order to take this body home? And next morning, on time, the funeral will happen. And then after funeral, you will be able, after a few days, to immerse your ashes. That was for me really Gita for me. I'd already forgotten these facts because I was working all over. When I had to get some samagri, you had to go, I went to cremation together. It was a Muslim shop. And he knew exactly what I want. Because he had to open shop for 5 minutes, give me things, because otherwise he'll be caught by the police. And he did, like, yes, I know what you want. Tuck, 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 this much. Then you earthen pot, again is made by the potter who is a Muslim. Like 4 in the morning, I had to wake him up. He thought first police has come to him. And finally he said, he recognized me. I said, I'm such and such person. He said, I know what you want. Then when we're going with the body, at every 200 meters there was a barbed wire. Roads were blocked and you were checked. Body was checked. We were all checked, frisked. And after that, when they saw the dead body's face, and they will all, soldiers being human beings, they will bow their head and we'll move on another 200 meters, the same thing happened, kept on happening. Suddenly my cousin is telling me, we were only 4 or 5 of us, there was nobody, and 4 of cousins and 1 Muslim friend. And my cousin says, you think there will be a man, cremation man there? In the kind of shooter side orders. I said, it doesn't matter, if there is food, we will cremate ourselves. So they kept quiet. The moment I entered the premises of the cremation ground, and there was this beautiful Darwish-looking person, he just looked at the body and he did the whole job. And when we had to do, there are certain ceremonies, I did not know, to be honest. You had to take a pandit for that. We didn't have a pandit. He guided us. And believe me, I was not looking at my mother's body, I was looking at this man. He is keeping my culture is with him. How can I differentiate between him and me? And the way he told me when I pick up the ashes, he said, pick up this. And one of the ashes was, he says, wash it in the milk. He says, it is called Porush. And it is like a meditation position of a vertebrae or something. Then I go to immerse the ashes after that. And he told me, this main ashes, you should go to Hardwar. Ganga mein jana hai. This you can, rest you can do the Visarjan here. We rushed, it was very fast, we had to finish our immersion also and reach back home safe. And there was a tiny little poor fisherman trying to fish, was in a boat in the river. And he came, he was called by another Muslim man, come, sawab ka kaam, sawab mein punya ka kaam karna tumhe. And he came, we came with my brother, we immersed the ashes. Normally there should be Pandit, and we no. Well, anyway, you meditate. We dropped the ashes. We came to a bank, and my cousin is telling me, give him the money. And I took out the money. I took some 500, 2, 3 notes. And he looked at me. He's a poor, very poor fisherman. He's not a big fisherman. He said, I can't even translate the cash. He said, these things are not transacted in cash. What are you doing? And then, again I looked at him. I said, I told my brother, I said, my mother is safe, don't worry. The cousin was still, he is a, Pandit. And I said, shut up now, you don't know what it means to me, you have no idea. This is what Kashmir is when we talk about our medieval poets, but great tradition of Sufi poets. It starts from the 13th, 14th century, continues even till today. And they talk all the time of the syncretic culture. Muslim Sufi poet use the images and the terms of the Buddhist and the Hindu terminology. The entire, poems are woven through these kind of like shunya, punya, and all kinds of Buddhist terminology, words and other things. So it's a living tradition there. And I told my brother, I said, no, we may have lost our house, but I still think my Kashmir is still safe. Principles are there. There is a muck on the top of it. Who will clean it? I don't know.
So this is just a little glimpse of the kind of very personal and yet very, very, very deep kind of instances and anecdotes that you will find in this book. And this is just one example that he's shared about his mother's passing. But the book is peppered with this, and not only in Kashmir, because a lot of your life, of course, is in Delhi, and you moved to Delhi, as you said, with the scholarship for NSD, and NSD was at that time was in the Rabindra Bhavan. They didn't have their own campus. So, and you talk about also there's a lovely passage about the building of Meghdut Theatre.
Yes.
Yes. With
you see that was National School of Drama, which is no more there for me. School had no money. but that doesn't mean that things will not happen. We had a person who was leading the school that time, Ibrahim Al-Qazi. After 3 o'clock in the afternoon, classes were over and he will call us down to the ground and we had to pick up shovels, baskets and start digging and doing labor, like labor. He himself with a basket picking up bricks, and we made this very modest little theatre, and the first production on that was, because still it was naked on both sides, so we grow crops, maize fields, and make an entire UP village, and we did Premchand's Godan. And after some months it was turned in a little bit of the same thing into Lorca's Yerma. And after that, the history, for 30, 40 years, it has done some of the most important productions of modern Indian theatre there.
Yeah,
and that taught me, you go as you have become an actor, you're going to be an actor now. He gave me one day, after that, mess and polish, clean the floor for the seniors, they had to do a play. And we gradually, first I was getting a little upset, all of us saying, yeah, what is this? We have become a laborer here, or what is happening? But when we saw him picking up the bricks, a lot of more bricks than us, and nobody, sometimes he got hurt or something, somebody rushed to him, he shouted at him, he said, yeah, do your business. Gives you the idea what teacher you are with, what relationship he has with you. He is trying to teach you what's called dignity of labor in arts. And Indian theatre needs that very much. We were doing, Chalu Kam, I say Chalu. He taught us all these things. And every time he was an inspiration. And even now, sometimes, whenever I get in a difficult situation, they are full in the book, whether it is Kashmir, whether it is Manipur, I would say, what would have he done? Always they'll ask me, so what would have he done? How would have you sort it out? So I come with a solution. And yes, I remember when my play got banned during emergency, I was made a person non grata. I had no idea what person non grata means. Till the bureaucrat who I went to fight was the principal secretary in the Punjab government. He said, when did you come from Delhi? I said, this morning, 1 hour back. He said, where did you go? I said, no, I've come to meet you. Are you sure you didn't go anywhere? I said, no. And he said, look, you're fighting with him, but I have to tell you something. You're like my son. If you go into the Punjab area, I have to arrest you. I said, why? He said, you're person non grata. Have you, he gave me tea, etc. And I went to, there again, when you were negotiating with the people doing plays, it was quite a mess conflict that time. But the fact that did what, why did I repeated the play after some time. I again remounted the play and went back to Punjab and other places. We got some awards, etc. for it was Bertolt Brecht's Caucasian Chalk Circle adaptation with a very fantastic musical score which still the people are using. But it was the determination you learn from National School of Drama. You have to be a professional. You can't give concession to yourself. And that sort of way helped me to, go through the decades and decades of my work, which was a lot of conflict areas I worked in, and how you cross those difficult moments is quite...
So, I mean...
Sometimes I don't know how did I do it, honestly.
That's all in the book. So, we can't reveal all the secrets here. Speaking of conflict areas, you've worked in Manipur, you've been to Punjab during the troubles, you've of course worked in Kashmir, we'll come to that later. But early in your career, it was Delhi, where you're in Delhi between 1970 to 1980, when there's a whole era of protest happening, and so there is that, and then 84 happens with Indira Gandhi's assassination, 89 happens with Safdar Hashmi's assassination, and there's all of that sort of 20-30 years, which I mean now we're seeing more and more of it, unfortunately. But if you can talk a little bit about that period and some learnings from there, because you also say that it made you into not just a theatre person but an activist.
Yes. You see, 1970 onwards was I would say, great period for Indian theatre. We had playwrights like Badal Sarkar, Girish Karnad, and Tendulkar, Bhisham Sahani, Mohan Rakesh, who crossed boundaries of language. Simultaneously, they were being done in at least every month. You'll see 4 or 5 production in regional languages happening, and also politically things were also happening. Bangladesh was happening at the time, and at certain point of my time, I realized, it's not necessary to do theatre now. We can do it later. Let us do what is happening now, like in Delhi, for example, when Sikh riots happened. I was right there. It's unfortunate that I am supposed to not to be there, but it happens. Fortunate, unfortunate. I happen to be there. The next thing, what do? You look at this, then you start moving, you start acting, which you call actors, but I think it's a natural thing for a human being to help another human being. It should not be that I'm doing some special gesture I'm doing. Tomorrow I should have photographs in the magazines. It's not like that. It is that lesson that they are my own city people. They are getting killed. And for 3-4 months, I left theatre completely. I did not touch theatre. People are saying, you do a street play, so are you mad? You don't do theatre. You need objectivity, and I think best thing what I'm doing, I am servicing. I'm working to give them food, to give them shelter, to get clothing. It was 24 hours job. We had created a group, and there were 23 camps I think we were working on. And I think that also enriches you as a person if you're in the creative field. You can't be in the ivory towers that creativity is away from the life. It has nothing to do with what is happening there. It's bad smell, it's dirty, it's, pungent smell. Unless until you taste that, you live in that, you understand that, I think your personality does not change. This happened to me in that camps when I was working. When I met those people, young girl, suddenly came to me, my children, I have heard that my children are in some other camp. And she was, such desperate situation to get. She was like a bird who has lost her wings. And in Delhi, in Hindi, she was telling, in Punjabi actually, Veer means brother. I have found this. Doing this means begging to me. Can you get them in that camp? I was looking at her, how did she know that she's talking about a camp which is 40 miles away. I asked somebody, I said, how did you get the message? She said, somebody came from that camp looking for us. And so I said, okay, there's a jeep, take it with you, and if they are there, get them. So they went, and this girl is like a little tigress, waiting with her eyes on the landscape. There was nothing in front of her, not talking to me, when this jeep will return. And it took 2.5 hours to 3 hours, jeep never returned. And I was looking at it, and she was getting very anxious. And it crossed my mind, if she doesn't find her children, what will we do? How do we handle her? And finally, jeep arrived. I could see the long shot of the jeep, dust coming. I said, oh, now. I started almost thinking, oh, God, there should be her children, there should be her children. And the jeep stopped. 24 people came out of that jeep. And came her children. And from there, you must have seen the old wildlife films when the tiger moves. And tigress, the way she ran and held her children, and did not bother about me at all after that. And I was looking at her. And these things change you. You can't, to me it changes. I don't know about others, but it does make me feel good. Human beings sleep a little bit nicely at home. And also it enriches my work in acting. It's my book of acting where I learn new experiences. I apply lot of things like that. It's what we call in acting, there's a chapter in Stanislavski, emotional memory. So it's a great emotional memory. Keep your recorders on all the time. Or when I direct, I give these examples to motivate people. And because after all, actors are like these people in whose minds you have to, stimulate these ideas, what you want them. So you have to sit in their heads so that they start creating an idea, which is we are doing together. So I do not only direct. Direct doesn't mean go here, go there, not the thing. We sit together. It's like brewing something. It's like a brewing.
So again, the Sikh riots. There are many more examples of the work that Nagarik Ekta Manch did in the book, and really reading that has been an education for me of the work that was going on, unsung almost during that time. I want to quickly jump to 1989 with Safdar Hashmi's assassination, January 1989, and. I want to actually ask whether, because there's a beautiful passage in the book where you describe his funeral and the hundreds and thousands of people who turned out for his funeral, people who knew him, people who did not know him, across party lines, citizens from all walks of life in Delhi. And then there's I won't read it because it'll take too much time, so buy the book. But you're talking about the fact that no one followed the police route, and you were going all over, and it was a 2-kilometer long procession. And I was just thinking while reading that, today in 2025, can we imagine something that kind of coming together for an artist in this country? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't think people today are even thinking what is happening in next door. That was it was surprising to me also. Safdar was an activist, theatre man, he was a CPIM cadre, but a wonderful human being. He was a filmmaker, poet, and a friend across. I used to call him Daftar Hashmi. When that procession happened, there were people, they had nothing to do with theatre, they had nothing to do with culture. They were all teachers, students, laborers, all kinds of people were there. And it was surcharged because outrage in the Delhi was complete. How dare you kill a person? In doing a play, it was a street play where he was killed. And that was the motivation for all of us. They had given a route. Police gives always a route. You can walk on this. Nobody followed that route. And police did not dare touch us. It was from Delhi Secretary, Rafi Mag, right up to Nigambod Ghat. It was everybody walking the procession, and after that there was another procession when they thought they will tighten a little bit on, and when the next day the demonstrations started to the Home Minister's house, and Habib Tanvir was there, I was there, Manor Singh was there, there was Al-Qazi was in the team, to everybody, senior, junior, even Zora Saigal, who was 80 something that time. All of us got together, and but the whole point is that will not happen now, I don't think. I think Safdar was something special, and I think Delhi theatre people, but it happened everywhere. Here also there was a protest. It was all over. In fact, on his birthday, there were 3,000 street theatre plays done all over country. So I think, but nobody does that now. Nobody gets onto the streets now to do theatre. That's so.
And there's
because there is no permission now. We have got police too much. In Delhi, I stopped going to, if I do a play in an auditorium, I have to take 4 police permissions. And one permission is a license to do a play for 3 hours. And that license is given from the Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner of Police, who is giving license for if you want a party in a park. So catering DCP has to give me license whether I want to play. So it's too much for me. I said, I don't want to do theatre. No way, no. Forget Delhi. If somebody who gets those permissions, for me, he does it. I am not going to any police station to get. Then you get traffic police. Then you get a fire police. 4 permissions. And that takes your life out. It takes you a month to get those permissions. It's not easy to get. And I think that is a signal. We won't let you do what you want to do also.
I have to mention here that in Bengal we are slightly better off because we do not have to take all these 25 permissions to put something on. For the moment, we don't know where we will be tomorrow, but for the moment we are slightly better off. So come and do the plays here then.
Yeah. In fact, we have started going to Meerut, we have started going to Shimla, we have started going to Chandigarh. It is easy to place there because you don't have to go through this harassment.
Absolutely. And why should we?
Why should we? Exactly. I mean, Parliament is not talking great language. If they can speak and vomit whatever they want to, why can't we do a decent language play?
So the last bit I want to talk about before we open up to questions is your work in Kashmir, which takes up the last part of the book, from the first NSD workshop to your intense and rigorous work with the Bhand community. I know it's a lot to cover, but if you can give us some insights into going back to Kashmir, what did it mean, and some examples of what kind of work.
You see, when I realized that I have no home now in Kashmir, and it was complete, that I will not be able to, it's gone for me. But you know, your mind and your head doesn't accept it. It's my place, I've grown up there. I know every gully of Srinagar, I know every area of Srinagar. And it used to bother me every time, and I never used to share it with anybody. But also question came to me, if I have done so much cultural activism in the country, whether it is rest of the India, I must enter this space. And how does one enter space? Because every time I used to get the message of so many people killed, so many died, this blast here, that blast here. I got a chance to do a workshop in Ladakh, which was J&K then. And I said, let me first try out here. And that was one experience which was beautiful experience for me. I was in a hotel. Normally, you know, you are in that high mountain area, oxygen is less, and you wear, you know, I had a jacket. I used to go in shorts. I had to do there is no theater there, auditorium building. So I looked at the mountain area, on the mountain there. There's a Gompa there. Gompa is the Buddhist monastery. And we found this is a lovely rocky area. We will do it there. So we used to start writing there. People started coming, watching over these mad people with 40 boys and girls from the local community. And we are working and doing things for a month. And in the evening, I used to go to my hotel. There was a little annex of a hotel where Kashmiri traders used to come. You know, small traders. Sabzi, kind of fruit, like aayenge. And one day I found one person, I talked to him in Kashmiri. Suddenly he screamed to them, Haji Sahab, ye Kashmiri hai. So I saw from that windows, suddenly 10 heads coming out. Hey, kya bol raha hai tu? Haan, ye Kashmiri hai. So they think, idhar aao yaar. We have been debating for 10 days that you are from Rus or somewhere, Russia. So how come it? So we got talking to them. Then came their stories. Why are you here? So for example, they said to me that now we will not go home till you are here. We'll sit here with you. And one of the Muslim, I remember, he said, you know, my problem is I'm suffocated in Kashmir. I can't talk what I want to talk. I don't share my suffocation to my little brother. I don't know what he's thinking. And I started thinking about the breaths, you know, kind of that place, the Informer and other places. And literally, till I did the performances, that day they took flight to Srinagar, I took them. But that motivated me to the first contact point I got from them, and through their stories. And I one day, without building any plan, I just took a flight and entered Srinagar. I had one little boy there, young. I said, Arshad, you should come to, if you can, come to this airport. And there I saw him with a big smile. And he asked me, sir, kahan jaye? Where should we go? I said, where should we go? I had no idea where we'll go. And I realized my college was next to my home almost. And there was, you know, your college street area is your area. And you know restaurants. I said, we go to that hotel. Ordinary hotel for people, villagers who come from Kargil is their hotel. And a cheap, 250 rupees room. And I entered there. And started my gradual work with first to find out what is possible, what is not possible. And first I did 5 years, I think I did workshops and theatre productions in the Srinagar with the youth. I wanted to create a base for that. But the support systems came from the people who were in the government but were not in the government. And it's an irony, I have a friend here, Salim, he's here, who was like, he and I have walked through the all kinds of violent actions there. And in fact, sometimes we used to be so depressed, I used to tell him, why are we doing it? Does it matter? what we are doing, and he will also say, "Agar hum nahi karega, to kaun karega?" So we kept working, and finally, when that was over, my main aim was to work with the indigenous theatre people. Those are in the villages. They are folk like your folk people here, and they had a story. They had been beaten up. Their costumes were thrown, instruments were broken, they were un-Islamic. For 10 years, they could not perform. It was banned for them. When I went to the village and met them, I realized they were all crying as if somebody had died. Elderly, all crying. So it took a lot of time to talk about. Finally, I said, would you like to perform? This is 10 years, nothing. Our children have left, they have become labor, they are manual labor here, and then nobody is interested, and it doesn't bring anything to us. Then they said, "Nahi, agar ho jaye, to we'll do." So gradually I started doing workshops with them, got their children into it, and for first year it was just a general warm up to them all. 3-4 villages, children, youngsters will come. Then I started reworking on their repertoire, the plays which they had done, and they had no costume, they had nothing. So I had NSD graduates with me, 2-3. We were designing costume, and we started doing outside the village a performance and check up what is going to happen to us. And first we were surprised. There's a hill, big hill, and it was all filled with the people. And so we said, okay, but things were happening in the towns and cities. Shoot at sight outers, pelting stones. Gradually we did 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I realized, I said them, no, this is okay now. You know this repertoire. We have to enter into an area which we don't know. But it took, you see, one thing, these actors are born actors. They can't read and write. They have a fantastic memory and a great sense of body and improvisation. If theatre people understand, they can improvise. We give them any idea, they will improvise within minutes. They will be on the. So that was the key to us. And I said, okay. One day I told them, there's a story I will tell you. We'll do that. It was story of King Lear, and I told them like ek raja tha. He had 3 daughters, etc., etc., etc. And I said, oh, okay, we'll do it. When you come next time, we'll do it. But when I told them, okay, you read the script in Kashmiri, it is available. They read it, I got a call from them saying, this doesn't work for us. What nonsense. There's no drama in it, there's nothing in it. Reject. I said, reject. I said, phir padho. They again said, hey, do you really think this is drama? Who speaks this language? It was a literal translation. I understood. I said, okay, I'm coming. When I came, again, they said, and after 10 pages, they started laughing. Come on, you're not seriously going to read. It is no Band Patra. They were looking at the form. Where is the form in it? Their form. I said, okay, throw it away. From tomorrow, what we'll do, we'll sit together and we'll adapt it ourselves. So for 3 weeks, 10 to 5, 8 of us seniors, I will read them, explain them, subtext and other thing, and we will do it. And gradually, when I started rehearsing, I became stupid. I suddenly realized, what am I doing? It's like a proscenium production I am doing. It's not just break it up, do the way you'll want to do it. Because they do a performance in the round. So things changed, and once I gave them that key, and they started flowering, and it happened, we had thousands of people watching that play in the villages. We had problems with the terrorists. They challenge you, you dare to play, but people come and help you, they do the play. This is my experience has been throughout all these conflict areas where you work. You may be in trouble and person is attacking you. Within 40 minutes, you clear the place, other there will be dead bodies. He told me right on my face. But I turned around and there was another person saying, don't you worry, we'll do the play. You will not go without doing the play. And they made sure I don't go. Because somebody told me he has a pistol, he's going to do something. He was calling people. And got the whole story short. It's a long story. What happened that I lost my voice explaining we'll come next time. But they did not let us go. An old saint-looking man with his tasbih in his hand says, come here. You do the play, will your life, if that comes to it. They don't want us to laugh. They don't want us to enjoy. You do the play, nothing will happen. And that was again a key to me. And we did the play, nothing happened. After that, we have been doing, villages started, inviting us to do plays. There is a tradition of that. Then we performed in the rest of the country also. That was a high point. It's quite a details in that. That is, yeah, one thing on that, which I learned from them. I learned a lot of things from them. They are my gurus. They are by nature, by their, what you call the DNA, they are Sufis. All of them are Sufis. All of them have this belief in the Sufi. And when they're at King Lear, and when the end, he is completing the storm scene, and when the senior most said, he has become Sufi now. World doesn't mean anything to him now. Subject, object, he's gone beyond, sir. And then another boy, another actor, suddenly started singing a poem. It was, we don't know the author, the poem is so beautiful. He says, we are going to use this poem after his mad scene. And things started coming, we get a reinterpretation. It was our Badshah Lear. It was hardly to do anything with Mr. Shakespeare. And it was our Shakespeare in Kashmir.
Thank you so much. And I was going to end by asking you about Kashmiriyat, but I think you have already answered that by talking about, do we have time for questions? So maybe a couple of questions we can take. There's, yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you. Sir, if you could expand on your experiences in Kashmir when you were, you just mentioned the phrase conflict areas. So when you were grappling with those issues, did the, you have done productions of Badal Sarkar. So the third theatre movement, did it inspire you in some way? And you also talked about the actors improvising and the whole, proscenium, they didn't like the idea. So, yeah, they were using their bodies as props. So this whole thing.
No. They use their body because they're folk actors.
Because they're folk
actors. They don't use the Badal Babu's kind of thing.
Not that, okay.
Not that. But in the city, we did Badal Babu. We did Michel.
Yeah.
We did Bhoma. Because these, the processions, every day there were processions in Kashmir. It made a lot of sense when we did it. We did that. We did Bhisham Sahani also. We did Brecht also. But we also improvised the local stories. The problem with us that there is less Kashmiri material in the form of performances. So short stories are great short stories that people have written there. I picked up that as a material. There was another reason that these Indian writers I did much later. The beginning was to give them pride in their own language, because they don't read and write that language. And when they could see these stories, you could see their face, they improvising those stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great, thank you, sir.
The point you mentioned at the beginning about describing yourself as Indian from the socialist days, I'm remembering also Doordarshan and the quality of their programming in the latter part of the 80s, and then to see private television today and its quality. We can't imagine television in India without Doordarshan, and you were also very much a part of that. And the range of programs that they did with a spirit of inclusion and representation. Women, Adivasi, Dalit, various languages from across the India. Yeah, we don't know what we have lost and what we owe to the institutions that were established in those days.
You see, to be very frank, is a political answer to that. If you follow economic policy, which is a disaster, we have seen the disaster of that, what has happened. It has done a cultural colonialism also. Gone are the days in the Indian television you have Rabindranath, you have Munshi Premchand. I did Munshi Premchand, I did Mantu, I did Kabhi Na Chote Kiye, the wonderful novel. Like, they would, at least there were people who were educated. Now you enter any channel's office. Whom do you meet there? A management brat who has read nothing. He is only interested in how much money he makes. No, this will not make many change. Last year, a funny thing happened in January. I was casted for a very big series, leading actor. Everything was done. And suddenly we have to do a reading of the script, etc. And suddenly they say, no, sir, the channel says that we have to change. Your character will be now female. So it is not well thought. It is thought. You see, it is a big mall. Big mall where they are selling from the shop. I don't think that represents India at all. And also we are aping the Western television. We don't have a character. Like we went into villages, all these directors, or we used to go to villages, get indigenous farms, work with them. We had some mission to do. But for them it is the mission how much they can bring from the West. And they're their companies. I mean, you all know it, you know much more than me, how the whole mechanics of the Indian mass media works. We don't see news. Pick up a newspaper, what do you see? News you have to research. Where is the news? It's all filled with advertisements. And I have stopped watching television 10 years and I don't read newspapers. That I don't read.
I had a question.
One last, yeah.
I was so absorbed in the book, I read it from cover to cover. Could you tell us, could you take us a little bit through the workshops you did with the Bhand Pathir community? Because you were going back to Bharata's Natya Shastra and you referred to the various Angikam, the Vashikam. I found that fascinating. So if you could take us through that in brief.
It is too long a thing. Time is up. For that, Kolkata, please invite me. I'll come and do a workshop here.
Yes. So anybody here who wants to take M K Raina up on that offer, please meet him. And definitely, I think we should be inviting him here to, really unpack this book and unpack all the education that this book has.
It has a lot of pedagogy work in it about the culture, which was, because I had ideas, but I had to break all those ideas and postpone those ideas completely. A new pedagogy was happening, whether I worked with the orphan children, I worked with the children who had seen their father being shot, how to repair souls and how to get creative elements out of them that they can contribute. That is a long process and it changes. It changed from workshop to workshop to workshop. It changed. We used to come with an idea, it used to be postponed immediately. It did not work. Forget about it. Thank you.
So thank you so much for this conversation. And I think let's take that idea with us. How do we repair souls? I think it's a great question to leave with. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.